Gavin Ross was once the king of Detroit's auto world. Wealthy, respected, unstoppable. But behind the steel and chrome was a heart rusted with regret. One mistake, one lost love, and a decade of silence. Then, one Detroit morning, it happened. A boy in grease-stained overalls fixed Gavin's tire outside an alley shop, then looked up and shouted, "Dad!" The voice cracked something deep. The boy, Finn, 10 years old, clever as they come, wore a tie too bold for a street kid. It matched Gavin's from years ago, too perfectly. As memories of Emily, the woman Gavin left behind, flood back, so does the truth. She never told him about Finn. Why? Because his sister Susan made sure he never found out. Now Gavin must face the lies, the time lost, and the boy who might be his son. Will Emily forgive him? Can Gavin rebuild what Susan tried to destroy? All he has is a rusty wrench left behind by Finn, a simple tool, but one that might help repair a family long broken. Watch as secrets crack open, hearts are tested, and redemption rides on 2 wheels and a father's love. Subscribe to see this heartfelt story unfold. The low hum of electric tools echoed through Gavin Ross's private Detroit garage. Chrome gleamed under spotlights, floor polished like glass. But Gavin, 42, CEO of Ross Motors, didn't see the beauty. He stood still in his tailored navy suit, hands deep in pockets, staring at the half-assembled prototype on the lift. He had everything: power, precision, but peace? That had slipped through his fingers years ago, along with Emily. His assistant's voice came from the intercom. "Your McLaren's front tire's flat. Driver's running late." Gavin sighed. "I'll take care of it." He stepped out of the side entrance into a narrow service alley that wrapped behind the garage. A boy knelt by the McLaren, fiddling with the tire bolts like he owned them. Dark curls peeked from under his bike helmet, arms streaked with grease. He looked 10, maybe 11. Too small to be doing this kind of work. "Hey, what are you doing to my car?" Gavin barked. The boy didn't flinch, just looked up with clear green eyes and a bold grin. "You're Gavin Ross, right?" Gavin blinked. "Yeah?" The boy's voice cracked through the humid Detroit air. "Dad?" Time froze. Gavin took a step back, as if the word had hit him in the chest. "What did you say?" "I said, Dad." The boy stood, wiping his hands on a rag. "You're my dad." Gavin stared. Same eyes, same smirk he wore at that age, but... How? He laughed, unsure. "Kid, I think you're mistaking me for..." "I'm not." The boy pointed to a bold plaid tie under his mechanic hoodie. "This? My mom said it was yours, said you wore it the day you left." A memory burst open like a cracked headlight. Emily. Her apartment. That same tie yanked off in frustration. That final fight. Gavin's throat tightened. "Who's your mom?" The boy's tone shifted. "Emily Hart. She fixes bikes up the block." Gavin swayed slightly, a wave of something sharp washing through him. He hadn't heard Emily's name in a decade. She'd vanished after their split. No number, no address. "She told me to never come here," the boy added, voice quieter now. "Said you didn't want family." A silence spread between them, heavy as the Detroit summer heat. "What's your name?" Gavin asked finally. "Finn," the boy said. "Finn Hart." Gavin swallowed hard. Finn's hand reached into his pocket. "I fixed the tire already, but your rim's bent. You've been taking corners too sharp." He handed Gavin a rusty wrench, old, worn smooth at the grip. "I use this on everything," he said proudly. "Still works." Gavin stared at the wrench, unable to speak. Not because it was broken, but because it wasn't. Because someone had taught this boy to work hard with what he had. "Where's your shop?" Gavin asked. Finn shrugged. "Just a little alley spot, behind the bike co-op." Gavin nodded slowly. Take me. Minutes later, they stood outside a makeshift repair shed. Cinder blocks, tarp roof, dozens of bikes stacked like puzzle pieces. Tools lined a crooked workbench. A drawing hung near the door. 2 bikes, one big, one small. Beside it, a name scrawled in blue crayon. Family rides together. Gavin's chest tightened. Mom says I draw too much, Finn grinned. But I just want to ride with someone who stays. Before Gavin could respond, a woman's voice rang out sharply from the shadows. Finn, get away from him! Emily stood there. Same eyes, sharper jawline, a streak of silver in her tied-back hair. Her face froze when their eyes met. You, she whispered. Gavin took a step. Emily, She held up a hand. Don't act surprised. Your sister made sure I stayed gone. His brows furrowed. Susan? She called me a mistake. Said you'd moved on. She shredded my letters, Gavin. Every one I sent. He blinked. You wrote? Dozens, she said bitterly. When Finn was born, when he got sick, when he said his first word, Dad. Finn looked between them, confused. Gavin's jaw clenched. I never got them. Emily scoffed. Of course not. Why would your sister let me ruin the clean image of Detroit's golden boy? Gavin turned away, breath shaking. That's why I never heard. That's why. He looked down at Finn, then back at Emily. I didn't know, I swear. Emily's face softened just a hair, but she didn't let go of her anger. Well, now you do. The wind stirred Finn's drawing. Gavin stepped closer and pointed to it. You made this? Finn nodded. Yeah, it's me and someone. I wasn't sure who yet. Gavin knelt, setting the rusty wrench beside the paper. Now you know, he said quietly. Maybe we can build something, if your mom lets us. Emily didn't answer. But she didn't walk away either. Emily stood rigid under the alley's buzzing light, arms crossed over a denim jacket, jaw tight. Finn looked between them, unaware of the fault line stretching beneath his feet. Gavin's fingers hovered near the rusty wrench still resting by the drawing. His voice dropped. Why didn't you tell me, Emily? I did, she snapped. Or, I tried. The wind rustled the tarp roof above them. Gavin stepped closer. You mean the letters? She nodded, eyes narrowing. I left voicemails, sent cards, even drove to your old condo. Your sister was the only one who answered. She told me you wanted nothing to do with me, Nisha. Or a baby. Gavin's throat burned. Susan said that? She said I was a distraction, that your life was moving up and you didn't need baggage. Emily blinked hard. I believed her. Finn pulled at Emily's sleeve. Mom, you said we weren't going to talk about this. Emily knelt beside him. I know, baby, but some truths don't stay buried. Gavin watched the two of them, his son, his once love, and a fury curled inside him, not at Emily, at Susan. I had a right to know, he said, voice shaking. I could have helped. Emily stood, eyes tired. You weren't there? I wanted to be, Gavin said. I just never knew. Finn held up the wrench again, trying to break the tension. Want to see the trick I do to fix bent spokes? Gavin smiled faintly. Yeah, show me. They ducked into the small workshop. Finn grabbed a beat-up wheel and tapped it with the wrench at 2 points. The rim wobbled slightly, then straightened. Not perfect, Finn said, but good enough to ride. Emily leaned against the frame, arms folded. Gavin watched Finn work, the way his hands moved with care and curiosity. It reminded him of his first solo engine rebuild at 16. You taught yourself? Gavin asked. Mostly. Mom helped, and Uncle Joe from the co-op showed me how to repack a hub once. You're talented, Gavin said. Real steady hands. Finn beamed. Thanks. Mr. Ross?" Gavin laughed under his breath. "Gavin's fine. For now." Emily caught his glance. "Don't make promises you're not ready to keep." He turned to her. "I'm not here to play games. Or disappear." She hesitated, something soft flickering in her eyes. "It's been 10 years, Gavin." "I know," he said. "That doesn't mean I walk away again." They worked in silence for a while. Finn polished a rim. Gavin organized bolts into a coffee tin. Emily swept dust into a pile. Then Gavin spoke. "I need to talk to Susan." Emily scoffed. "What for?" "Because if she lied to both of us, she kept me from my son." Emily looked down at Finn. "He's not a bargaining chip." "He's not," Gavin agreed. "He's family, and I won't let her keep tearing that apart." The next day, Gavin drove to his corporate tower. Floor 42. Glass walls, cold smiles. Susan was already in his office, scrolling through spreadsheets on his tablet like nothing had happened. "Susan," he said evenly. She looked up. "Gav, you're late." He closed the door behind him. "Sit down." She raised an eyebrow. "Excuse me?" "Sit." Susan sat slowly, her posture stiff. "What's going on?" Gavin tossed a small stack of envelopes onto the desk. Old, unopened letters. "Emily. Finn. You told me she vanished." "She did," Susan said quickly. "You two weren't good for each other." "You shredded her letters," Gavin said coldly. "You deleted voicemails. You lied to both of us." Susan's expression hardened. "I was protecting you." "From what?" Gavin's voice rose. "A child? A family? From scandal? From losing your board seat? From being dragged down by someone who didn't belong?" Gavin leaned in, fire in his eyes. "You don't get to decide who belongs in my life." Susan straightened. "You have everything. I made sure of that." Gavin picked up the rusty wrench he'd brought in from the alley, placing it gently on the glass table between them. "I had nothing," he said. "Not when I didn't know about him." Susan stared at the tool. "What is that?" "It's what my son used to fix my car, alone, in a back alley, while you sat here, stealing years from me." He turned away. "You're off the board, effective immediately." "You can't." "I just did." That night, Gavin returned to the alley. Finn was bent over a wheel, dirt smudged across his cheek. Emily handed him a thermos. "Thought you'd vanish," she said. "I almost did," Gavin admitted, "but I can't walk away again." Finn waved a tire lever. "Mom said you yelled at someone today." Gavin chuckled. "Let's just say someone finally got fired." Emily smirked. "Good." Gavin held up a small box. "I brought something, for the shop." Inside were brand new tools, screwdrivers, a torque wrench, and a custom rack. Finn's eyes lit up. "For real?" "Every mechanic deserves good tools," Gavin said. "No more rusty shortcuts." But Finn held up the old wrench anyway. "I still like this one. It works." Gavin nodded, eyes misty. "Yeah, it really does." As dusk fell, they tuned bikes together, laughter rising with the sound of turning gears. This time, Gavin stayed. A week later, Gavin knelt beside a crooked bike frame, grease on his hands and sun beating down through a broken sheet of plastic overhead. The alley shop was buzzing. Tires squeaked, chains clinked, and somewhere behind him, Finn's voice shouted, "Careful with that chain! You'll snap it!" Gavin glanced back. Finn stood with a wrench in one hand, helmet pushed too far back on his head, directing two younger kids fixing a tandem. Emily approached from the other side, holding a water bottle. "He's built this place into something real." Gavin smiled. "He's got more drive than most of my executives." She handed him the bottle. Their fingers brushed just for a second. The moment held. "I called the co-op director," Gavin said quietly. "Asked if they'd let me sponsor some tools, maybe paint the walls, fix the lights." Emily raised an eyebrow. "Trying to buy your way back in?" "No," Gavin said, sincere. "Trying to be here, the way I should have been." She studied him a moment, then nodded. Good. Down the alley, a loud clang rang out. Finn groaned, "That spoke just bit me." Gavin chuckled and stood. "Let me see it." He knelt beside Finn, inspecting the wheel. The spoke was bent, a clean snap at the joint. Gavin took the wrench from Finn's hand, the old rusty one he still used. "We're going to need to replace this one," Gavin said. Finn frowned. "Thought I had it." "You almost did," Gavin said. "But sometimes, even the best tools need a break." Finn shrugged, then grinned. "Let's fix it anyway." As Gavin helped him work, the sound of tires rolling into the alley caught his attention. A group of teens entered, pushing bikes, one of them waving a flyer. "Hey, is this the place that tunes racers for the Midtown Dash?" Emily glanced at Gavin. "It's a community ride. Fast kids. No rules. Finn's too young." "Not anymore," Finn said quickly. "I'll be 10 in 2 weeks. There's no age rule." Gavin turned to her. "Let him race." Emily looked torn. "It's rough out there." Finn's voice was quiet now. "I want to try." She sighed, then looked at Gavin. "If he does, you're with him. No press, no cameras." Gavin nodded. "Just us." That night, Gavin returned to his private garage, a space that once felt like his kingdom. Now it felt too polished, too quiet. He stood near the sleek electric prototype, untouched since he met Finn. He walked over to his workbench. In the corner, still smudged with dirt, sat Finn's rusty wrench. He picked it up, ran his thumb along the handle. This wasn't just a tool anymore. It was a promise. Something real. Something earned. Gavin looked up at the digital calendar glowing on the wall. A blinking notification reminded him, Investor Dinner, Geneva. Flight, Thursday. He tapped the screen, deleted it. He had a race to attend. 3 days later, the alley was alive with energy. Kids lined up along chalk-marked paths, tires pumped, helmets adjusted. Gavin stood beside Finn, tightening the bolts on his handlebars. Finn tugged his sleeve. "I put something on my bike." Gavin looked down. Just beneath the seat was a taped-up drawing. A bike with 2 stick figures riding. One big, one small. In bold marker, Team Ross. Gavin's chest tightened. "You made that?" Finn nodded. "For luck." A whistle blew up ahead. "Line up, racers!" Gavin walked Finn to the starting line. Emily stood nearby, arms folded, anxiety in her eyes. "You sure about this?" she asked. "No," Gavin whispered, "but he is." The race began. Finn shot forward, legs pumping like pistons. Gavin and Emily jogged to the edge of the course, weaving between cheering parents and chalk signs. Halfway through, Finn was in third. A sharp turn came fast, too fast. He skidded wide, nearly toppling. Gavin's heart jumped. But Finn caught it. Steady hands, clean recovery. By the final stretch, Finn surged forward, crossing second, not first, but smiling so wide Gavin thought his heart might break. Later, as they walked home, Finn held up his bike triumphantly. "That was awesome." "You were amazing," Gavin said. Emily looked at both of them. "You're good with him." "I'm learning," Gavin said. She hesitated. "He needs steady." Gavin nodded. "So do I." They reached the alley. Lights flickered overhead. Finn ran ahead to hang his medal on a hook in the shop. Emily turned to Gavin. "What now?" He held up the wrench. "We keep building." The morning after the race, Gavin stood in front of his office window, staring out at Detroit's skyline. But his mind wasn't on quarterly reports or engine patents. It was back in that alley. Finn's grin, the taped-up drawing, the sound of tires on asphalt. He turned from the view and picked up his phone. One call he'd avoided too long. "Hey, Susan, we need to talk." Her voice crackled through. "Little early for drama, Gav." "Your lies stole 10 years from me," he said coldly. You told Emily I didn't want the baby. Silence. She believed you, and so did I. I want the truth. Now. Susan sighed. Look, I was protecting your future. That girl was a detour. She's the mother of my child, Gavin snapped, and he's everything I wish I hadn't missed. There was a pause. Then she muttered, It was for your own good. Gavin's voice dropped. You're off the board, Susan. Permanently. You can't do that. I already did. He hung up. Down in the alley, Finn crouched beside a busted tricycle, tongue between his teeth, tiny wrench in hand. Gavin stepped in, still dressed in his suit but carrying a cloth bag. Finn looked up. That for me? Gavin grinned. Open it. Finn pulled out a leather tool roll, sleek, branded with his initials. No way! Finn unwrapped it slowly. This is like pro-grade. Gavin knelt. It's yours, but only if you promise to still use the old wrench too. Finn laughed. Deal. Emily entered from the side, wiping flour from her shirt. You've been busy. Gavin stood. Figured he deserved better tools than duct tape and luck. She nodded, something unspoken passing between them. Then she said quietly, He brought your photo to school last year. Told the class you were on a top-secret mission. Gavin's breath caught. He said you'd come back one day, she added. I told him not to get his hopes up. I wish I had, Gavin said. I should have fought harder, should have questioned more. Finn walked over, clutching his new tool roll. Hey, Dad? Gavin blinked. It was the first time he'd said it like that. Clean, without hesitation. Yeah, bud? I want to show you something. Finn pulled out a folded paper from his hoodie pocket, and another drawing. This time it was a garage, half his shop, half Gavin's. In the middle, 2 stick figures shaking hands. Gavin's throat tightened. You made this? Yeah, Finn said proudly. It's called Fix It Together. Gavin smiled. It's perfect. Later that day, the 3 of them sat outside the alley shop sharing sandwiches. Emily looked at Gavin. There's something you should know. He looked up. When Finn was 3, he had a seizure. We didn't know why. I was scared out of my mind. Gavin's heart sank. Is he okay? Yeah. Turns out it was from stress and heat. He's healthy now, but... I was alone and scared. Gavin closed his eyes. I should have been there. I wrote to you from the hospital, she said. I even sent a picture. Susan called me that night, said you didn't care. He clenched his fists. Finn looked between them, sensing the tension. Is this about the past again? Emily softened. A little, but we're working on it. Finn stood. Then can we go ride? They smiled. As they packed up, Gavin reached for the rusty wrench, still hanging on its peg. Hey, Finn, let's keep this in the middle of the shop. Why? Gavin tapped it gently. Because it reminds me what I almost lost, and what we're building now. Emily met his eyes, and for the first time she didn't look away. Sunlight cut through the dusty window of Gavin's high-rise office. He sat alone at his desk, the city sprawling beneath him. But instead of reading quarterly reports, he was staring at Finn's latest drawing. 2 bikes riding side by side, with Dad plus me, written in bold blue crayon at the top. He turned the picture slowly, fingers brushing the edges. The same blue as that ridiculous tie he wore the day he last saw Emily. The same tie Finn had worn, knotted proudly beneath his hoodie. A knock at the door pulled him out of the moment. Mr. Ross, his assistant said, the Zurich team's waiting on your flight confirmation. Gavin looked at the clock. The deal was huge. Could double the company's European presence, but the closing date landed on Finn's birthday. Cancel the trip, Gavin said quietly. Push it, or send Darren instead. Sir? She blinked. You heard me. Back in the alley, Gavin found Finn hunched over a 3-speed with a busted gear line. His hands were black with grease, tongue peeking out as he focused. Need backup? Gavin called. Finn looked up, grinning. Tried to fix the derailleur, but it's stubborn. Gavin knelt beside him. Let's crack it together. They worked in rhythm. Gavin guided the tension while Finn adjusted the gear. When it finally clicked, Finn whooped and held up the old wrench like a trophy. "We did it!" Gavin smiled. "Team Ross. Unstoppable." Emily appeared with 2 paper cups of lemonade. "You skipped Zurich, didn't you?" He met her gaze. "I couldn't miss this." She handed him a cup. "You're changing." "I should have changed a long time ago." Emily sat down on a crate nearby, watching Finn test the bike up and down the alley. "You know," she said softly, "he wears that blue tie sometimes when he draws. Says it makes him think clearer." Gavin laughed. "I used to think that tie was lucky. It's funny. It led me to him." Emily nodded. "Maybe not everything old has to be thrown out." Their eyes met. The past hung between them, but so did something gentler now. Forgiveness hadn't arrived fully, but it was walking closer. That afternoon, Gavin brought Finn to his main garage. Not the polished one, the first one. The dusty, cluttered back room where Gavin built his first car from scraps. "Whoa," Finn whispered. "You worked here?" "Yep," Gavin said. "Before the suits, before the skyscrapers." He opened a rusted tool chest and pulled out an oil-stained blueprint. "This," Gavin said, unfolding it, "was my first design. I called it the R1. Took me 3 summers." Finn ran his hands along the sketch. "It's awesome." Gavin handed him a pencil. "Wanna help design the R2? Finn's eyes lit up. "Really?" "We start from scratch, you and me." As they scribbled side by side, Finn paused. "Hey, Dad?" Gavin looked over. "You ever get scared?" Gavin blinked. "All the time. Even when you're rich?" Gavin smiled. "Especially then, but having you makes me brave." Finn leaned into him, shoulder to shoulder. "Same." Later, as the sun dipped low, they locked up the garage. On the door, Finn taped a fresh drawing. His version of the R2, wheels big, lines bold, 2 names at the bottom. Gavin and Finn. That night, back in the alley, Emily stood outside the shop as they returned. "Long day?" she asked. Finn held up the blueprint. "Best one yet." Gavin walked to her slowly. "I know I can't make up for the years I missed, but I'm here now, and I'm not leaving." Emily didn't say anything at first. Then her voice softened. "We'll see." As Finn ducked inside, Gavin reached for the rusty wrench on the wall. He held it up. "This still works," he said, "even with all the cracks." Emily smiled faintly. "Maybe we do too." Rain tapped against the alley's tin roof as Gavin sat with Finn on a wooden crate, both of them staring at the new blueprint stretched across a tool bench. It was the R2, now colored with highlighters and Finn's bold handwriting. "Our project." "I think we should make the body red," Finn said, voice eager, "like the bike I fixed for Mrs. Torres." Gavin nodded, pencil in hand. "Red it is, fast and loud." From the doorway, Emily watched them in the golden hue of the alley light. Her arms were crossed, but her face had softened over the last week. It wasn't trust, not yet, but the walls were beginning to crack. Suddenly, Finn looked up. "Mom, why didn't you tell Dad about me before?" Emily froze. "I asked," Finn said quietly. "At the race. I just want to know." She stepped in, sat beside them, her voice calm but firm. "Because I thought he didn't want you." Finn blinked. "But why?" Gavin placed a hand on Finn's back. "Because someone lied to her." Emily met Gavin's eyes. "Your sister told me he said you'd ruin his life, that he didn't want a child. She even sent a check, like hush money." Gavin's heart sank. "A check?" "I never wrote one." "I know that now," Emily whispered. "But back then, I was alone, hurt, and I believed her." Finn's fingers gripped his pencil tighter. "So, we lost time, Because of Aunt Susan? Gavin nodded slowly. Yeah, buddy, we did. Silence filled the shop. Then Finn stood. That sucks. Gavin and Emily exchanged a glance, then burst into quiet laughter. Finn shrugged. It does. You're right, Gavin said. It does. That evening, back at Gavin's condo, he dug through a locked drawer he hadn't opened in years. Inside was a photo. Emily, years younger, sitting on the hood of his old Mustang, laughing, and beneath it, a crumpled envelope. He opened it slowly. Inside was one of Emily's original letters, addressed to him, postmarked, never opened. His hands trembled. The next morning, he showed it to Emily. She took it with cautious fingers, then looked up. That's my handwriting. I think Susan intercepted more than you knew. Emily exhaled. She made me think I was a burden, that I had no place. Gavin shook his head. She was protecting my fortune, not my heart. Emily glanced toward the alley where Finn was tuning a kid's bike for a local girl. I'm not asking for anything, she said. I've done fine on my own. I know, Gavin said, but I want to give back what I can. Time, support, not money. Emily smiled faintly. You're late, but not empty-handed. That night they held a small dinner in the alley shop. Paper plates, string lights. Finn sat between them, chomping on a grilled cheese sandwich. I'm going to race again, he declared between bites. There's a fall ride coming up. Emily laughed. You just finished one. Doesn't matter, Finn said. I've got a team now. He looked at Gavin. Right, Dad? Gavin smiled, lifting his cup. Team Ross, always. After dinner, Finn picked up his wrench, now cleaned but still rusted around the edges. He tapped Gavin's knee. Can you hang this on your garage wall? Gavin paused. Why? Because it started everything. Gavin nodded. It'll be the first thing I see every morning. They stood together, string lights swaying overhead, the alley quieting into the calm of evening. And for the first time, the past didn't feel like a weight. It felt like the road they'd all traveled, bringing them here, together. The sky over Detroit was overcast, but the alley buzzed with life. Gavin leaned over a battered cruiser, watching Finn help a boy fix a loose chain. Lefty-tighty, righty-loosey, Finn chirped, then frowned. Wait, is that backwards? The boy giggled, and Gavin smiled. Finn had become the heart of this place. Emily appeared at Gavin's side, holding a clipboard. The co-op's sending more kids next week. We're running low on parts. I'll cover it, Gavin said, and I want to set up a fund. Official. For bikes, tools, even school scholarships. Emily looked at him, surprised. You're serious? I'm all in, he said. For Finn, for the community, and for you. She hesitated, then handed him a folded paper. This came in the mail, addressed to you, from a lawyer. Gavin unfolded it, his eyes scanning the letter. His jaw tightened. It's from Susan, he muttered. She's challenging my removal from the board, claims I'm emotionally compromised. Emily stepped closer. What does that mean? She says reconnecting with you, and Finn, proves I've lost objectivity. She's trying to paint me as reckless. Finn ran over, sweaty and smiling. Guess what, Dad? I fixed the derailleur solo. That's amazing, bud, Gavin said, kneeling. But give us a second, okay? Finn nodded and dashed back to the shop. Gavin stood slowly. She's not done. She's trying to smear us publicly. Emily's eyes narrowed. You can fight this. I will, Gavin said. But I need to find proof. Proof she tampered with the letters, the voicemail logs. Something concrete. Emily looked at him, voice low. I might have it. He turned. What? She left a message once. I saved it. It was cruel. I kept it in case, I don't know, I ever needed to remind myself I wasn't crazy. Please, Gavin said, send it to me. That night in his downtown condo, Gavin listened to the voicemail on loop. Susan's voice rang out, cold, clipped, unmistakable. "He doesn't want you or that kid. You're a mistake, Emily. Stay gone." He forwarded the file to his lawyer, then stared at the photo on his desk. Finn with the wrench, smile too big for his face. The next morning, Gavin sat on the steps of the alley shop, sipping coffee from a chipped mug. Finn came out holding a notebook. "Look what I drew." Gavin took the page. It was a scene. 3 stick figures under a string of lights, bikes all around. A big heart floated above them. "That's us," Finn said proudly. "You, me, and Mom." Gavin smiled, voice thick. "It's perfect." As he folded the paper, the rusty wrench clinked in his pocket, a reminder of where all this began. Later, they drove to Gavin's private garage, where his legal team waited. "You're sure about this?" his lawyer asked. "I'm done being quiet," Gavin said. "If she wants a fight, she's getting one." They submitted the voicemail, along with Emily's returned letters and dates from Susan's email history. Everything lined up. A pattern of interference, deliberate and undeniable. The board meeting came 3 days later. Susan stood in heels and silk, oozing charm. "My brother has lost perspective," she said. "He's prioritizing personal distractions over corporate duty." Then Gavin stood. He played the voicemail for the room. Silence followed. Board members shifted in their seats. Gavin looked at them all. "She stole my family from me. She lied. She intercepted every message meant for me. And now she wants to say I'm the one who's unstable?" Susan turned pale. The board voted unanimously. She was out. That night, Gavin returned to the alley. Emily and Finn were tuning a bike under the dim lights. Gavin walked over, kissed Finn's head, then turned to Emily. "It's done. She's gone." Emily nodded. "I heard. I couldn't have done it without you." She handed him a rag, grinning. "Then help me fix this stubborn brake. Family shop rules. Everyone pulls their weight." Gavin laughed, wiping his hands. "Then I'm staying late." And beneath the flickering lights, the 3 of them worked, together. Rain fell steady over Detroit as Gavin sat in his private garage, hunched over a legal folder spread across his steel desk. The voicemail, the timeline, the board's vote, it had all happened fast. Too fast. But something still gnawed at him. "Why now?" he muttered aloud. He grabbed a tablet, pulled up archived surveillance logs from 10 years ago, mailroom footage, voicemail records, email traffic. His fingers moved with purpose until one name caught his eye. Richard Voss, Susan's private assistant at the time. He picked up the phone. "Get me Voss. I want to know exactly what she told him to do with my mail." Hours later, in a quiet diner outside the city, Gavin met Voss across a sticky table. "I left that job because of what she made me do," Voss said, eyes low. "Shredded 6 envelopes from someone named Emily. She said you didn't need distractions." "She kept my son from me," Gavin said, voice trembling. "Can you put that in writing?" "I already did," Voss said, sliding over a signed statement. "It's time the truth caught up with her." Gavin gripped the paper, heart pounding. Proof. Finally. Meanwhile, in the alley shop, Finn wiped oil from his hands looking up at Emily. "Mom, why did Aunt Susan lie to Dad?" Emily paused. "Because some people care more about money than love." Finn nodded. "Then I'm glad we're not like her." The next morning, Gavin called a press conference. Simple stage, no branding. Just him, Emily, and Finn standing behind a row of microphones in front of the alley wall, where Finn's drawing now hung laminated. Fix it together. 10 years ago, Gavin began, my sister made a decision that changed my life without my consent. She intercepted letters, shredded messages, and told the woman I loved that I wanted nothing to do with her. Gasps rippled through the small crowd of journalists. She did it to protect my image, my wealth. But what she destroyed was far more valuable. My chance to be a father. He looked at Finn, who stood holding the rusty wrench like a badge. This boy found me anyway. Gavin's voice cracked. And now, I want to help other kids like him. Through bikes, through mentorship, through building back trust. Reporters fired questions. Cameras flashed. But all Gavin could see was Emily, watching him not with anger now, but with something softer. Later, back in the shop, Finn bounced on his heels. Dad, we're on the news. I saw, Gavin laughed. You were the star. I held up the wrench like you said, Finn beamed. It worked. Emily walked in, holding a folded article. Front page. You really went public. Had to, Gavin said. Not just for us, for every kid who gets left behind because of pride and silence. Emily sat beside him, serious now. You did something brave today. I was scared, he admitted. But then I remembered what Finn asked me. Do you ever get scared? And I said yes. Still true. Finn raced back over with a new drawing. Look what I made. It showed the three of them on a podium, bikes beside them under a banner that read, Family Wins. Gavin smiled. Can I keep this? Finn nodded. It's yours. Gavin folded the paper, then opened the drawer beside the bench. Inside were just two things, Finn's drawing and the rusty wrench. He added the new one on top, a symbol of what was broken, and what, together, they were still fixing. The hum of drills echoed through the alley as Gavin stood beside Finn, both wearing matching aprons smeared with grease. A dozen kids swarmed the pop-up bike station, their laughter spilling out into the morning air. Finn adjusted a girl's helmet and gave a thumbs up. Next, Gavin smiled. You're running this better than half my staff. Emily passed out juice boxes behind a folding table, glancing up at Gavin with a knowing smirk. Maybe it's time you promoted him, he chuckled. Already happening. But even with the energy in the air, Gavin's phone buzzed with a reminder. Zurich Auto Tech Summit, RSVP. Deadline today. He stared at it. That summit could secure a $1 billion partnership, if he showed, if he left. Emily saw his hesitation. Big meeting? Biggest of the year, he said. If I go, I'll miss the youth program launch next week, and Finn's school presentation. She crossed her arms. Then ask yourself what really matters. Finn ran over, waving a small flyer. Look what I made. Gavin took it. Hand-drawn in crayon was a poster. Fix It Fest, free bikes, big smiles. Gavin crouched to Finn's level. Did you design this? Finn nodded. Yup, and you're the guest speaker. Gavin glanced at the RSVP notification again, then back at his son. I'm skipping Zurich, he said softly. Finn's eyes widened. Really? I'd rather be here, Gavin said. With you. Later that night, Gavin sat on the floor of his condo, blueprints and papers scattered around him. He dialed his CFO. Cancel Zurich, pull the sponsorship money, and move it into the Fix It program. His CFO paused. You're walking away from a global partnership for a bike charity? No, Gavin replied. I'm building something better. In the days that followed, the alley transformed. Kids painted signs. Gavin funded new tools. Emily coordinated with local schools. Word spread fast. Fix It Fest drew a crowd bigger than anyone expected. Journalists, neighbors, even former rivals from Gavin's industry showed up, curious to see what the Millionaire CEO had built with a wrench and a second chance. Finn stood beside Gavin on a wooden stage. Ready, Dad? Gavin adjusted the mic. Let's roll. He spoke from the heart. I used to think legacy meant patents, towers, and numbers in a bank account. But I was wrong. He glanced at Finn, then Emily in the front row. Legacy is love, built bolt by bolt. It's the boy who fixed my tire. The woman who never stopped fighting, and this rusty wrench, he held it up, that reminded me what I broke and what I needed to repair. The crowd erupted in applause. After the speeches, Gavin walked off stage. Emily was waiting, eyes wet but proud. "You really did it," she said. "I did it," he whispered. Finn barreled into them both, holding a medal. "They gave me this, for helping everyone." Gavin scooped him up. "That's not just a medal. That's a beginning." They stood under the string lights as the festival buzzed behind them. And for the first time, Gavin wasn't haunted by the past. He was building forward, one ride, one wrench, one heart at a time. The sound of gravel crunching under tires echoed through the alley as Gavin rode in, his suit jacket tossed in a basket, sleeves rolled up. Finn was already there, racing circles around a cone line he'd chalked himself. His laughter filled the space like music. Emily stood beside a refurbished donation table, handing out locks and reflectors. "He's been out here since sunrise," she said, nodding toward Finn. Gavin smiled. "I couldn't stop thinking about the look on his face at the Fix-It Fest, like he belonged somewhere." "He does," Emily said, her voice gentler now. "So do you." Before Gavin could answer, Finn skidded to a stop beside them. "Mom! Dad! Guess what?" They both turned at once, startled, but not by the word Dad anymore. "I made the city race team," Finn said, panting. "They saw my ride at the festival, said I've got speed and control." Gavin knelt, hands on Finn's shoulders. "I'm proud of you, buddy. You earned that." "But it's in Lansing," Finn added, suddenly nervous. "We'd have to travel every weekend." Gavin looked up at Emily. She was quiet, thinking. "I want to go," Finn said, "but only if you both come." Later that night, they sat in Emily's tiny apartment. Noisy radiator, dim light, a worn couch with a blanket tossed over the back. Gavin sipped tea from a mug that said, "Best day ever." It had a crack running through it, held together by a strip of gold glue. "Where'd you get this?" he asked. Emily shrugged. "Finn dropped it once, said he didn't want to throw it away, so he fixed it." Gavin studied it. "Kinda like us." She looked up, holding his gaze. "Maybe." Then she said softly, "He wants us to go with him. Weekends, races, long drives. That means more than car repairs and alley shops." "I know," Gavin said, "and I want it too. But we're not just fixing bikes anymore," she added. "We're building something. That means showing up for the hard stuff." "I'm ready," he said, "even if we wobble." The next weekend, they drove to Lansing in Gavin's old restored Bronco, Finn in the back, headset on, humming to the beat of his playlist. The sky stretched wide, gold and open. Fields rolled by like time itself had slowed down to let them catch up. At the track, kids in sleek uniforms zipped past in warm-ups. Gavin and Emily stood behind the fence as Finn mounted his custom-tuned bike. Gavin whispered, "That's the same wrench he used, isn't it?" Emily smiled. "Still carries it in his backpack. Says it's lucky." The race began. Finn shot forward, lean and low, the alley years of practice showing in every turn. By the final lap, he was neck and neck with the lead rider. The crowd leaned in. Gavin's fists clenched the rail. Then, Finn pulled ahead, first place. The cheers blurred. Finn coasted toward them, breathless, beaming. Gavin scooped him into his arms. "You flew out there." Finn laughed. "Did you see that turn?" Emily reached for them both, pulling them into a full embrace. That night, back at the shop, Finn pinned his race ribbon next to the rusty wrench, now hung in a shadow box Gavin had built. Beneath it, he taped a new sign. "Dad fixed the world, one bolt at a time." Gavin looked at Emily. She looked back. No words needed. They were a team now, and the road ahead, no matter how bumpy, would be traveled together. A soft drizzle danced on the alley pavement as Gavin adjusted the tuning stand. His sleeves rolled high. The shop was quiet, just him and the steady tick of a wheel spinning in place. He glanced toward the workbench where Finn's shadow box now sat, front and center, cradling the race ribbon and the rusty wrench. The wrench had been cleaned, but Gavin left the corrosion around the grip. It reminded him that some things didn't need to be perfect to be powerful. Finn came bursting through the side gate, helmet dangling from one hand. "Dad, you'll never believe it. Coach said I might get sponsored. Real gear, a team jersey, the works." Gavin set down the tire lever, beaming. "That's huge." Finn grinned, then sobered. "But there's a thing. They want to feature me in a video, like a spotlight. But they want my whole story." Gavin paused. "What does that mean? About Mom and you? Why we weren't always together?" Gavin sat down slowly. "And how do you feel about that?" Finn looked down. "I want people to know I worked hard, that I didn't have everything, but I don't want them thinking bad things about you." Gavin swallowed hard. "It's okay if they hear the truth. I messed up, I left, but I came back, and I'll keep showing up." Finn nodded, then held up a folded sketch. "I made this." It was the alley shop, but brighter. The bikes gleamed, and in the corner was a toolbox, wide open, the rusty wrench right in the center. Over it, Finn had written, "Broken things still work if you care enough to fix them." Gavin's chest ached. "That's beautiful." That evening, Emily joined them for dinner, grilled cheese, tomato soup, and laughter echoing against concrete walls. She noticed the sketch taped beside the shadow box and traced the words with her fingertips. "Did he show you this?" she asked. "He did," Gavin said. "It says more than I ever could." Emily sat across from him, expression soft. "He's brave and honest." "Like his mom," Gavin said. They were quiet for a beat. Then she asked, "Do you think we could ever try again? Not for his sake, but for ours?" Gavin reached across the table, covering her hand. "I'd fix us, every day." A week later, the spotlight video dropped. Finn stood in the alley, holding the wrench, his voice clear. "This was my first tool. It belonged to my dad before I even knew he was mine. We fixed bikes with it, but really, we were fixing us." The footage cut to Gavin beside him, eyes glassy. Then Emily. Then the three of them riding down an empty lot, wind in their hair, past a wall of murals. It went viral, not because of speed or talent, but because it was real. The next morning, the alley was full. Parents, teens, even news vans. But Gavin didn't care about the cameras. He was helping Finn tune a bike, hands side by side. As the sun broke through gray clouds, the wrench caught the light, just for a second, and gleamed. A golden sunrise spilled across the alley shop, casting warm light through the dusty windows. Gavin stood at the workbench, tightening a bolt on a lime green cruiser. Beside him, Finn carefully organized tools into a drawer, everything in its place except one. The rusty wrench sat on top, in its usual spot. "Ready for our Saturday tune-up?" Gavin asked, wiping his hands on a towel. Finn grinned. "Yup, but can I do Mom's bike today?" Emily rolled in through the back gate, her helmet in hand. "You offering service now, Mr. Mechanic?" Finn puffed his chest. "Only for returning customers." They laughed, a sound that had grown familiar in these walls. Once silent, now alive with love. Gavin turned to Emily. "You know, this place, it's more than a bike shop." She looked around. "It's where we rebuilt." A knock sounded at the alley door. A group of kids waited, holding dusty bikes and wide eyes. "Is this where the Fix-It team meets?" Finn jumped up. "You found us. Come on in." The shop buzzed as tools clanked and laughter filled the air. Gavin showed a boy how to adjust brake cables. Emily helped a girl choose the right helmet. Finn taught a younger kid how to patch a tire. As the day wound down, Gavin placed a hand on Finn's shoulder. "Come here." They walked to the shadow box on the wall. Inside, Finn's race ribbon, his first sketch, and that battered wrench. "I've been thinking," Gavin said. "It's time we add one more thing." He opened the box and placed a photo inside, taken at last week's Lansing race. The three of them, arms around each other, smiling. Finn looked up. "It's perfect." Emily joined them, wrapping an arm around Gavin's waist. "I still can't believe how far we've come." Gavin leaned in. "It started with a tire, a kid in an alley, and one question." "Dad?" Finn said, laughing. Gavin nodded. "And I've been trying to earn that title every day since." Finn walked back to the bikes, picked up a small sign he'd drawn earlier. It read, "Family Tune-Up. Every weekend. No appointment needed." He pinned it right above the toolbox. As the sun dipped low and the shop lights flickered on, the alley glowed with something more than bulbs. It glowed with belonging. And under that light, surrounded by kids, tools, laughter, and love, Gavin, Finn, and Emily tuned bikes and geared up for the road ahead, together.